Before we get absolutely mortal, I'd like to remind everyone that this podcast contains two pissed up gays with their opinions, rants and raves in life and overall explicit content, which we know you will love. Everyone and anyone is welcome to this podcast, so strap yourself in, pour yourself a large one, like me, down it and pour another, and let's get this going and read between the wines. Well, that was a little bit more successful than last week.
Episode 2, babe.
Episode 2. I feel more prepared this week. Now we have two functioning mics and not just the one, which was really annoying. But yeah, we're here, episode 2, and I'm excited. Yeah. I also feel like I look better this week than I did last week. I feel like I looked like a hungover mess, even though I wasn't hungover.
I turned up in pyjamas, so...
I mean... I looked rough, but it's fine.
I don't think you're the rough one in this relationship. In this duo.
It's very debatable. It's very, very debatable. I won't be saying that in the morning. How's the week? Good week?
You know what? For a 4-day week, it's been pretty stressful.
It's been the longest fucking week of my life, and it's been 4 days.
Incredible.
4 days. Yeah, I've honestly felt like this has been one of the longest weeks of my life, and I've also been completely thrown because Monday was a bank holiday, and Monday's usually the busiest day for me in life in general, and yeah, this whole week's fucked me up. But anyway, fine. Anything to report? Any raves?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry, I'm not a cyclist. I didn't learn to ride a bike when I was a child. I threw a tantrum when my stabilisers came off to then throw my whole bicycle into Regent's Park Canal. But that's a story for another day. I'm not fond of cyclists and I just take up too much of the pavement.
I'm sorry, I've got to interject here. The difference between us is insane. Like you, and this is the God's honest truth, you threw a tantrum because of your stabiliser and threw it in a canal. Cut to council estate version. Mine fell off in the garden and I fell into my shitty budget paddling pool. And that is the God's honest truth. That is the God's honest truth. My shitty bike, with the one stabiliser that was actually working, fell off and I literally went straight over into a paddling pool. You know, one of those, like, not even the blow-up paddling pools. You know those, like, hard ones?
Oh,
like, it's not an inflatable one. It's one of those shitty hard ones when I was a kid. Bang, straight into it. The class difference between the two of us.
I mean, thank you for considering me as classy.
I mean, you don't look it, but, you know, I suppose you could pass with your stories. I mean, now you look like it's more like, I don't know, sophisticated to big issue seller.
Makeup does wonderful things, that's what
Does it? I would never have guessed. But anyway, I feel like I just interjected your story, but
no, that was it.
That's you showing your privilege as far as I'm concerned.
Cyclists taking up too much of the pavement, they're a vehicle, they should be on the road. That's where I'm going to end that.
God, that's such a first world problem though, isn't it? God, cyclists are taking too much, you know, God forbid that they don't ruin the air with their pollution, they actually drive a bike. Drive a bike? Ride a bike.
Ride a bike.
Well, it's driving though, right?
Yeah. But then also I would classify tuk-tuks in that
what, those little things in Oxford Street?
Yes.
The furry seats?
Yes.
Fucking hate those.
The neon lights, which are
I fucking hate those little things in Oxford Street. 40 quid. Remember, was it us 40 quid to go around from fucking Marble Arch to...
A quote from the Apple Store up to Marble Arch cost £40 in a tuk-tuk.
But what's worse about that is it's the tourists that pay for it. I mean, they don't understand.
What are you going out to Marble Arch for? The large Primark?
Well, yeah, that's true. That's what makes me laugh about privileged people in Oxford Street. They're looking down like they're better than you and they've got bags and bags of Primark. Nothing against Primark. I don't personally shop there. But...
well, they spent all their money on the tuk-tuk. They've got to save on the clothes.
Probably. Absolutely. But anyway, I don't really have any... it's unlike me not to have a rant, so I probably do if I think about it, but I'm actually not going to rant today.
Next week's on you.
I mean, it's always on me. It's always on me. But anyway, so last week we covered the realms of dating and covered various issues in dating, things that come up, things that are appropriate on first dates, and also all sorts.
Yeah. And the trick was on me to choose
It was on you, and I kind of thought, being the sensible one out the two of us, you would pick something conservative or something a little bit more, I say child-friendly, this isn't a child-friendly podcast, but a little bit more friendly to everyone that's not prudish, and you chose...
Sex
and...
kinks.
Sex and kinks, right.
It felt like a natural progression.
We're not going in after 2 weeks, are we? But sex and kinks. I mean, that's quite... I suppose we did dating,
it's a
so I
natural
suppose...
progression in my mind.
But actually, that fine, yeah, I agree with that, but sex and kinks is obviously important. Maybe, well, it depends what the sex and the kink is. But before we even, you know, let's not, like, get ahead of ourselves. Let's think about... So we've done dating.
Yeah.
You've done your dating, you're past that point now and you're in a relationship. What is the most important thing for you in a relationship with someone? And that, let's see it as in the romantic sense. Let's not think of a friendship. Let's think of a romantic relationship. So you've done all that shit. You've done the glory hole. We know you did glory holes. We covered that last week. So you were quite the regular.
Yeah, been in, been out.
Done that. You've done the freeways. We've done everything a couple of times. God knows who. We've done Grindr. You know, battery's dead. It's used out. I'm talking about Grindr now, not you. Yeah. And now you're at the point where you're dating and you've not scared the person off with all these disgusting stories. What is the most important thing in dating for you?
I don't know. Maybe this is going too far, but trust, right?
I mean, it's a serious one. It's a deep one.
That's a deep one. I think it's trust. Like, you've got past the phase and, you know, hey, trust comes over time and, like, trust you build. I get that. But yeah, like if relationship is based on trust.
But also, I suppose it depends on the relationship, because if it's an open relationship, I suppose to an extent an open relationship you need trust
also
as well.
Yeah. Trust and thrust.
Trust and thrust, and not STIs or STDs, I suppose. Mm-hmm. I think I would definitely agree that trust is important, but I also think loyalty. But I suppose them two intertwine with each other. Like, I could never be with someone that I didn't trust, or I wasn't loyal to, or they wasn't loyal to me.
And that's not like 0 to hero from a trust perspective, you know. I think it's a gradual growth in trust for people, right?
Yeah, but do you think, because I always say there are two types of people in this world, and maybe there's more, but there's people that go into something really trusting and they wait, like they almost say, I trust you until you give me a reason not to. And then there's people in life that are the complete opposite and don't trust until you give reasons and signs to trust. What one are you? Because I'm definitely very much like, I don't trust you at all. I don't trust anything that you say, anything you do. I don't trust you straight away. And I know that's partly down to shitty men, and they fucking know who they are. And I hope they're listening to this. But
I think
I do gradually build trust with someone, and I don't hold my past or my experiences against anyone, but I will go in quite reserved.
I will go into dating quite reserved. If I feel like I get to a relationship perspective, I will trust them until they prove otherwise, which is completely different to going in to dating untrusting, because like I do have trust issues. I think I do for sure, but I think when you establish it as a relationship, then I kind of want to give the person maybe a bit of a benefit of the doubt.
You know what makes me laugh about gay relationships, and I don't know about the straight world, but like a gay man can just turn around and say, yeah, it takes me a while to trust someone, blah, blah, blah. On the other hand, you can literally text someone and say, room 245, I'll be on the bed naked. Get in, I'm blindfolded, the lights are off. Like, and that's it, done, gone. Like, that's fine. Like, we trust people. I say we, I'm not talking about myself here, but
I think we've all been there.
You don't trust people. Yeah, well, yeah, but you trust people not to give you an STI when you're fucking hooking up with someone, but you can't trust someone that wants to take you out for dinner and for flowers and this and that. That's really hard. In the gay world, I just find it so weird. Like, when you're actually with someone that you want to spend time with and that wants to take you out and treat you well, you're so reserved about everything. But when you're hooking up, and I'm not saying every gay man does this, but a lot of gay men, in my experience, I mean, I've certainly been guilty of it, when you just want casual fun, why do you trust that person more in the bedroom than you do with the person that you're dating? But I think it's a vulnerability thing, and I think for me, I've always said, you can casually hook up with someone that you plan to never see again, right? That's not going to bother me. If you don't like the way I look naked, do I give a fuck? Yeah. No, I don't give a fuck, because I'm not going to see you again. But if I'm with someone that I actually quite like and I respect, of course I'm going to care what they think. Of course I'm going to be worried about the way they perceive me, both in the bedroom and out the bedroom. So I think it is a bit different. Like, if I'm planning to hook up with you or sleep with you on the first date, take that as a sign, I don't want to see you again. And if it happens and I see you again, you're fucking lucky. Like, that's it for me. But I think that's the way I sum up the whole kind of like trusting someone with sex and holding it back. Because I've been with people in the past that have literally said, I know you're a slut from Grindr because we know this, we live in the same area, but you won't do this with me, but I bet you've done it with everyone else. And it's like, yeah, I won't do it with you because I actually quite like you, and I'm not going to do that with you. And as I said last week in the dating app, I don't want that to be a foundation of the first thing that we do in a relationship. It's an important part of a relationship for me, but it's not the foundation of a relationship. Getting to know someone, you know, spending time with someone, knowing their interests, knowing their family, their upbringing, their background, that's more important surely than... However, if there's shit in the bedroom, your family, your experience and that can piss off.
Yes, absolutely. It's one of these things. I think when it comes to dating, it's totally situational. You know, we've all been on dates where we didn't see anything going long term with this person. We just thought they were fit and we wanted to take them home.
I mean, I've not been there yet. I can't relate.
Liar.
No, I only speak the truth on this podcast. I only speak the truth. No, I do agree. Like, there are people that you really fancy, but also, do you know what I fucking hate? When you, like, good-looking people everyone, like, is good-looking to an extent. I don't think anyone's butt ugly. I know you're looking at me like you're shocked about what I'm saying. I'm not just saying this because we're on a pod. I think everyone's got beautiful traits, is what I'm trying to say. But there are some fucking ugly fuckers out there. But personality, I'm talking about personality. Like, you could be stunning in the eyes of me, and if you got an ugly personality, or you don't drink, fuck off. Again, it's the same thing. Like, I think it's subjective, isn't it?
Ugly, where do we start?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'll let you take the lead on that one. I don't know.
But you're right. There is different types of ugly. Like, there's different types of pretty, different types of sexy, different types of attractive. There's different strokes for different folks.
Well, that's it. Everyone sees things differently.
Absolutely.
And that's what's... But anyway, like, right. So we've spoke about relationships, but how important is sex in a relationship to you? Like, is it a deal breaker?
I think it is important in a long-term relationship. Like, you can learn early on whether the sex is irretrievable.
Don't use long words, babe. What does that mean?
Like, I think it's about, right, is it...
No. What's irretrievable mean? I'm asking the question. I don't know what that means.
You can't bring it back
like,
on the edge.
Unreversible. Is that a word? Irreversible. Fucking hell.
It's about, can you train that person to get better? Or do you think that they have any capabilities other than just being a plank of wood?
I mean, if they don't have if I've tried to train them and they're still not getting it, I've got no hope, because I'm pretty certain I can train whoever I want to do what I want, being the narcissist that I am.
I think, so, like, sex is important to a relationship, and, like, I think it's about, can you learn to...
Settle?
No, I don't think it's about settling. Like, settling and relationships are not possible. If you have to compromise who you are to be in a relationship, that's settling. Like, that's what settling is to me.
I mean, lots of closet gays do it for many, many, many years until they decide that they take themselves over to the dark side. Getting my words mixed up here.
I think that's true, but again, you know, thinking about that, these things are important. And this is why those closeted gays who think they are passing as straight always get...
We're generalising here a little bit, but I think for me, how important sex is in a relationship much depends, and I've said this again and I'll say it again and I'll bring it back to what I said before. It depends on the foundation that you've laid your relationship. If you've literally based your beginning on just drunk sex, right, because you've met and done a one night stand and then you decide to do something regularly, that is going to be the foundation of your relationship. And if for whatever reason it goes a little bit dry, you both are going to be so insecure about it, because why? That's not what we're about. Whereas if you date someone and you spend time with someone, you both decide this is the time and you connect, it's a lot different. It's really hard to put a pin on it. Like, is it that important? Of course I think it's that important, but it also for me it depends on how you do it. Well, yeah, that as well. But it depends on the circumstance. It depends on when, like, what it is and how it was. Like, I think sex is important in any relationship. Well, any romantic relationship, whether you be straight or gay. But I do think it's how you approach sex as a subject, or sex as a thing in a relationship. So I think it's important.
Do you think if you get the sex part right first before the other parts first, that stops it from becoming a thing?
I almost think it makes it worse. Because if you have, like, mind-blowing sex with someone at the beginning, and then for whatever reason you have a couple of weeks where you're both stressed, or you're both busy, and you're both tired, because that fucking happens in life, even though, like, we use those as excuses. Everyone does. I'm not talking about me. If you've set yourself an expectation at the beginning, I think you set yourself up to fail. And I think that's just in life, but especially with sex. If you have amazing sex, don't ever compare every time you get in the bed with someone to that moment, because it's never going to be that. It might be, similar, it might be, but it's never going to be that moment. And you're going to have times, especially when you, like, get into a relationship with someone and you start to spend time with someone, your lives start to intertwine, things change, and, like, you start sharing, like, your work days, you start sharing your lives, and your home lives and your family lives, and things change.
It's a completely different spin on One Then Done, but it's the same. It's the same. It's the same thing.
One? Are you joking? One?
But I think that's, like, if the first sex is explosive and then the next few are really disappointing, that's over as well.
Yeah, only if you let it, though.
Yeah, no. But so this comes back to my point, is that, can you... I don't like the word compromise. I think compromise is the wrong word. It's like, can you work at it?
Well, can a relationship survive without it? Would that be a romantic relationship if it didn't have sex, you didn't have sex with that someone? Would it be a thing?
I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it.
I love sex.
I mean, I do too, but for me, it isn't a massive priority, even though some of my friends will probably think, what the fuck is he saying? It's a massive slosh pot. But I don't think I could either. Like, I don't think... Do you know why? Because me being me and being who I am, I would literally be like, well, why are we not doing that? What are you doing that with someone else then? Because surely that's important in a relationship. Like, you can have this picket fence life with everything and this, like, perfect house and perfect, whatever. But if you're not having sex, then something's wrong.
There's no man who is not getting any or bashing himself off in the toilet by himself.
If someone's bashing themselves off in the toilet and they're with someone that they could be having sex with, that they've got serious issues.
Yeah. And so they are not fit for a relationship. People can evolve out of that. I'm not saying that is forever your train of destination.
Also, why would you want to bash yourself off in the toilet? Like, of all the... I mean, you're probably speaking from experience here, but, like, not in the bedroom or in...
So let's talk about kinks.
No, let's go back to what I was just saying. I bashed myself off in the toilet.
No, I never said I did that.
Well, you changed the subject pretty quick when I implied it.
I think, no, because I think it's about, like, if you are...
Bashing yourself off in the toilet like you are. No, I'm joking.
I'm not.
We can swiftly move on. I'm only playing. I'm
very sorry, George Michael. We love you.
We can't talk about dead people. They're not here to defend themselves. So obviously sex is a massively broad subject, which we've covered, and I suppose sex is fairly it is X-rated, but it's in terms of what we're about to talk about.
I think maybe that's a conversation, because, like, the British aren't very good at talking about sex openly, are they?
Well, we say this, but who are they fucking measuring that on? What, prudish British people? Yeah, they're a prudish everyone. Like, they fucking ask me.
Is that more in the gay community? Are we more open about talking about sex than...
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think women are more open about sex than men are. Men are open about sex in their friendship groups with other men, but women are just open in general. Well, the women that I know and I've grown up with are very open about it.
I've met some very open women in my life.
I've met some very open men. But even with my, like, family, like, our approach to sex has always been, let's just be upfront, and it's like, it's not a taboo subject. And, if I came home at 5 o'clock in the morning looking a bit worse for wear, my family would say, we know what you've been up to. Like, and it's always been like that. It's not been something that I've been ashamed to, or I go red-faced. But yeah, sex is a very broad subject. But moving on to maybe the things that people don't like to talk about, let's talk kinks and fetishes. Ooh, this is a really, well, again, this is another broad subject, but I don't think it's a subject that many people talk about.
Do you think it's because people don't understand, well, A, what a kink is or a fetish is, or what the difference between the two is?
I mean, but people probably don't understand what the difference between the two is.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't be able to distinguish them.
Well, isn't a kink like just something that like you've been slapped or something by like something spontaneous is a bit of a kink, or I quite like this, but a fetish is for me like something that people seek out, like you look to find it, whereas a kink for me it's just like, oh god, you got nice underwear on today, that's a bit of a kink. Like, whereas a fetish is like, I'm going to look for someone that likes this because that is a big deal for me. Whereas I think they're very close, but I think a kink can be, oh god, you've got like leather trousers on today, that's a bit of a kink, that's quite kinky. Or you can surprisingly find a kink when you didn't realise you had it. But a fetish is like commitment. It's commitment. You know that you like that sort of stuff and you seek to find it, whether that be on hookup apps or whether that be, I don't know where else you'd find a fetish, to be honest. Soho maybe, I don't know, but I do think there is a difference. But keeping within kinks and fetishes, we'll elaborate. But when do you think it's appropriate, if you have one, like if you have a kink or you have a fetish or whatever, or something that gets you off, let's just talk about all of them. When do you think that's appropriate? Okay, so we've done the dating, we've done like the getting together, we've done the sex, and now we're at the point where we want to talk about maybe a kink that you have or a fetish or something that gets you going. When do you think it's appropriate to talk to your partner about that, or is it appropriate? Like, when do we put a timeline on it, or do you just bring it up? I don't know. Like, what do you think?
I guess it's about how important it is for you in your sexual life.
Well, I mean, also though, like we say fetish goes after kink, but at the same time, as I said last week in the app, I haven't got fucking time to waste when it comes to dating and this and that. What if I like get 6, 7, 8 months down the line and I say I've got a fetish and they're like, oh no, I can't do that. I'm like, well, I've just wasted 8 months of my fucking life with you. Like, it's something that gets me off, and if you don't like it, we're not compatible. So is it appropriate to talk about a kink before a fetish? I don't know. Like, is there no set agenda? Like, I suppose you just, in my opinion, you just need to read the room.
Yeah. It's about how important it is to you and how much you want to open yourself up to that person.
Well, we all open ourselves up to people. Yeah, I agree. But you know what? This is a true story. Like, whenever I used to go on these apps, that was one of the first questions I ever asked anyone. Because maybe I do have some kind of things that I like. B, there might be some things that people like which freak me the fuck out. Prime example, I suppose fetish and kinks can be whatever you want it to be. Like, we associate, like, you've got well-known ones. You've got things like golden showers, which people are into. You've got, like, hands and feet fetishes, you've got things like that. You've got underwear is another one, although I would probably call that a kink more than a fetish. Leather, bondage, like, you've got all of these sorts of things. But one that's stuck in my head, and I can't understand it, maybe people can, maybe people will prove me wrong. One guy, like, I don't think I even asked the question, but he asked if I wore watches, like leather watch, like a leather strap, not like a metal one, like a watch with a leather strap. And I was like, well, I don't wear watches. Like, no, you'll never see me with a fucking watch on. What's the point? I've got an iPhone, I've got a laptop, I've got a monitor. I'll always have the fucking time somewhere. I don't need a watch on my arm.
People get obsessed by watches.
I hate them.
Yeah.
I fucking hate watches.
And this is pre-Apple, Fitbit.
I don't even like Apple watches. I have a Fitbit, but all these bullshit fucking watches on your arm where you can just use a fucking iPhone. I don't get it. Does the same thing. Anyway, some people like them. I suppose they're good for exercise, but I'm digressing. So I said to this guy, well, I don't really wear watches, but why? And he was like, I I love it when a guy wears a watch and then at the end of the night I can, smell underneath the watch strap. I love the sweat underneath a watch strap. And I was like, that is probably the worst and most disgusting thing I've ever heard. Like, I've heard of some fucking bondage and some fetish and some kinks, but I have never in my life heard of someone that likes to sniff under a watch strap. Like, that is weird.
Wasn't there... Oh my God, that's just reminded me. There was a... Just to caveat, I did not attend this event.
Oh, yeah, all right.
There was a dating event where you had to bring an item of clothing that you'd worn for multiple days, that had your body juices.
Oh my God, that's disgusting. Body juices.
And maybe aromas is more appropriate. But there's something about pheromones that your body emits.
That's the drag queen, pheromone. Anyway.
God bless you, pheromone.
Oh no, she's a bitch. She's not dead. She's fucking horrible. But anyway.
But they say that from a really primitive level of human beings, the smell of people is a massive attraction for, and again, it's heightened for some people than it is for others. In the same way that what someone's wearing over their dick is a fetish of someone.
Over their what?
Over their dick.
What would they be wearing over it? A condom? Oh, you mean clothing? I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? What they wear over their dick.
I mean, I'm sure there's condom fetishists.
Oh, imagine that getting stuck in your mouth, though. Oh my God, that's disgusting.
But again, there's also people who want to send their pubes in the post to someone.
Oh, there's people that make good money doing that.
I mean, I don't even want to smell your socks, let alone your pubic hairs.
I don't want to smell anything on anyone unless it's Bleu de Chanel and a nice aftershave or a nice deodorant. Bodily juices, I can't get that out of my head now. That's fucking disgusting.
But there's a massive science around that, and in terms of attraction, and I don't know, where does that become a kink, and or a fetish, and where does that just become natural human nature?
I think it's a debate that you can go on and talk about for ages, and there's lots you can go into it. But I suppose for me, as someone that has dated women and men, I found in my experience that it's more associated or well known in the gay world than the straight world. Why do you think, in your opinion, people associate fetishes with gay people and not straight people? Why is that such a big deal?
I think it comes back to that question about are gay people a bit more open about sex and sexuality than the majority of heterosexual people are? And that's a massive generalisation. There are closeted gays, there are very conservative gays, but
I don't even know what they are. Probably do actually. I probably do.
But they exist, but I think in the whole, where gay people have struggled with sex and having to hide, for the most part, I've had to struggle with it for so long. When you finally feel free enough to come out and talk about it, God, you sing it from the rafters.
I don't know. For me, I think this has more to do with the media and social media and how it's marketed. For example, on Grindr, you can list your fetishes, and also you can filter on what your fetishes are to find people in your area. Now, I don't think you can do that on Tinder or Hinge, and I know it's a different kind of audience, and that's more a dating site, and this is a gay hookup app. But I don't know any straight hookup apps, but I don't know if they have that option. But on gay apps, you can quite easily filter on what you want, and it can be down to the exact fetish that we're talking about, and then it will bring up people in your area. And I just think that it's more accessible for gay people. Yeah. It's more publicised. You always see in clubs and bars, the bondage, the leather and this and that, and you've got the big bears, and you've got the little twinks, and then you've got you, and you've got everyone else. I'm joking. This is a funny podcast after all. And then there's me, which somehow I probably fit into all of those. Oh, I have at one point.
You get the bitchy ones.
Oh yeah. Trying to click my finger. But I don't know. I think it's just more pushed in the gay world than it is in the straight world. And I don't know, maybe this is me being very presumptuous here, but if I told, not that this is a kink of mine, but if I told, I don't know, a girl that I was into used underwear, I don't know, this is my experience, if I told a gay man that I was into used underwear, or you know, that was a thing of mine. I just feel like that would be more accepted, and they would find that quite hot. Whereas a woman, I feel like would be, go away, you fucking weirdo. Like, I don't know. I don't have the answer to it, but I do think it's more publicised, it's more pushed on the gay community, and it sells as well. And that's another thing. Like, fetishes and kinks sell in gay stores, like in gay shops, in gay stores, on gay websites. Like, that sort of thing sells, and it makes money.
Yeah.
Whereas you have it to an extent in Ann Summers, but that's just a little bit sexy, dirty, filthy. It's not like, I'm going to piss on you in the shower kind of fetish. Like, I'm a human urinal, as like gay websites sell. They sell these things that you put in your mouth, which turns you into a fucking toilet. Whereas I'm not speaking from experience. I don't own a human urinal. I don't. But I've seen it. I've seen it. No, I don't. I mean, that would like crack my lips.
I imagine the moisturize.
I'm talking about the actual instrument, not the act. But
I'm sure the moisturising features of urine are unexplored by L'Oreal.
That's why I'm so young, babe.
Because you're worth it.
Well, that was a bit of a dry joke. We've had this already today, pre-podcast.
But I don't know, for me, and again, is this the answer? I don't know, but I think it's the slightly more liberated feeling that an out gay person has than someone who's kind of been born into a heterosexual society, as everyone accepts that as normal, and anything besides the normal becomes just, you know, what you do indoors.
I suppose to an extent it can sound quite strange to people, and I'm sure people that listen to this podcast that don't know much about it probably think that we are disgusting right now because we're talking about it. But let's keep it filthy and let's keep it strange, because we're here now, you know, there's no point in turning the tide. What are some of the strangest ones that you've ever heard? And this is not, let me just disclaimer here, this is not stuff that we've done, this is not stuff that we've experienced, and this is not stuff that we want to do. Let's just talk about some of the things that we've heard or seen, which, you know, one of the early shows in the 90s, when I'm probably showing my age, but here was Eurotrash, and that was on Channel 4, I think, and that used to show snippets of fetishes and stuff like that, and that was really, as a kid, I shouldn't have been watching it. I think it was Channel 4 or Channel 5, it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I remember being a kid and staying up to watch Eurotrash. I was a very confused little boy, because that was mainly Lola Big Tits. Do you remember Lola Ferrari, the girl with the biggest tits in the world? She died. Well, I'm not... but that used to show a strange part of sex. But obviously we've come a long way since then. What, for you, is one of the strangest, or just strange kinks in general that you've ever heard? I've just said about the watch strap one, which I think is fucking weird. There's another one that I have, and this isn't stuff that I've done, but this is actually one that somebody asked me to do, and I obviously said no. One of the strangest ones that I ever heard. I don't know if this is a fetish or whether it was just a kink. This is probably more of a kink on the part of this person, but it was around about Christmas time, and I was with someone at this point, and we had a bad Christmas. Like, we argued like something else, and I had a friend who isn't a friend no more, actually because of this night, text me or Snapchatted me and said, I'm in your area. He lives about half an hour from here, and he said, like, I'm really horny, do you want some fun? And I obviously wouldn't, because although I fucking hated my boyfriend that night, I wouldn't have done it. But he sent a selfie of himself in his car dressed as Santa Claus, and this is the God's honest truth, I kid you not, asked me if I would sleep with him in a Santa outfit because he's always wanted to fuck someone dressed as Santa. Now, I don't think that's a fetish, but that's a kink, and that is a fucking weird kink. Like, what the fuck would you... Why do you want to fuck... Why does Santa want to, like, fuck little... I'm not a little boy. So this is only 2 years ago.
Beat yourself up, babe.
Well, I don't need to. The podcast will do that for me. All of my listeners will know.
I've got 3 things to say to that. Ho, ho, ho.
No, that's me. I'm talking about him.
I was talking about him as well. Like the Santa Claus.
No, I'm the ho, ho, ho. That's me. We're not talking about me right now. We're talking about him. But I just think I found that fucking weird. And I was like, for me, it screamed pedo. Because I was like, I'm not a child, but you associate dressing up as Santa and being with Santa being around children. I was like, why do you want to have sex? I'm pretty sure if Santa was real, and I hope no kids are listening to this, because if Santa was real, I don't think he'd go home and want to fuck Mrs. Claus in his outfit. Like, surely he'd get undressed. You imagine Santa just bending her over in is it the North Pole? The North Pole in Lapland, is that where it is? Fucking her over the toy conveyor belt. Like, no, like, you don't do that. Like, and I found the whole thing really weird.
Have I got a North Pole to show you?
He's got a massive North Pole.
But that's the other thing, though. Like, it's those childhood things. So that also leads me on to talking about, I don't know, there's two, aren't there? Furries and fuzzies. Get dressed up as Barney or Big Bird.
Oh yeah, I've seen these on Graham Norton's show. Actually, his old show on Channel 4, So Graham Norton, which I fucking loved as a kid. He used to call people up like this, and that you got those, like, people love that. People love dressing up as furry animals. Another one's diapers and being an adult baby. Don't ever understand that.
I think that comes back to, like, the point that, do you actually want to be with the person you're with there and then, or do you want to be with fucking Mr. Snuffleupagus?
Why would you want to fuck a fucking furry toy? I mean, I don't look at Barney the character and think, do you know what? I'd want to fuck you tonight. Like, it's weird. It's weird. But
Oscar the Grouch, I have a massive boner for you.
Oh, it's like the Teletubbies or the Tweenies. Imagine wanting to fuck one of the Tweenies. Oh, I don't get that one. But yeah, adult babies is another one. I do not want to. I struggled to change my own child's diaper when she was a baby. There's no way I'm changing an adult, especially a man. Like, I know what comes out of men and goes in, but like, I don't want to be changing a diaper. But I mean, there are some really fucking weird kinks out there, and I suppose this leads me on to my next question. I suppose we've already answered this, but why is it not a normal topic of conversation? I think kind of we've answered that because we've just spoke about how fucking crazy it is and how weird it is, but we can't deny that this stuff doesn't happen.
The whole point of sex, dating, relationships, all these topics is that you want to be accepted by someone, and at the moment you have a hesitation that what turns you on or what you find attractive or, you know, what you get off on may possibly be unacceptable. Like, you might as well be a paedophile. I
mean, if I went out on a work night and said, oh God, I'm really talking to this boy, he's on all fours dressed up as Elmo from the Sesame Street and it's really getting me off, I kind of think that's a bit unacceptable. So I think we kind of answered that a little bit. I'm
going to need to take a half day.
Yeah. I've got the cast of Sesame Street coming around later. We're gonna have a fucking orgy. Like, it's like I suppose we've kind of answered that. Like, it isn't a normal topic of conversation because it's not normal in society. Like, this is what happens behind closed doors. Unless, you know, if you're at Pride or stuff, people celebrate it, which is fine because you're in a safe space where you can celebrate stuff like that, and it's not unacceptable. Whereas I think in normal conversation, everyday life, it's probably not acceptable to talk about.
I think it's like the whole range of basic human life events that people want to imagine don't actually exist. But you know what? Sex exists. Death exists. All these things exist. So fucking talk about them.
Well, yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, anyway, on that note, I think that we should wrap this up. We've spoke about lots tonight. I feel like I need to go cleanse myself with some holy water, because this isn't a normal conversation and everyone's going to hear now and people think that we're massive weirdos, which is fine. But so episode 3, it's down to me now. It's down to me back over to me. Maybe we'll do something more tame. I don't know. If it's us, I doubt it, but yeah, I will get my thinking cap on. As always, you can catch us on RBTW Official on TikTok and rbtwofficial@gmail.com on email. Please send us your stories in and please tell us how disgusting we are and give us some feedback because we will read it out and we probably won't stop because we love talking about this shit and it's a place where we actually can.
You think fetishes are bad? Wait till we read your comments.
Well, this is just the warm-up. Trying to pick my wine. But on actually a positive note and leave it on there, we've had some really good feedback on episode 1. Like, I was quite surprised. I was a little bit nervous to put this out.
Likewise.
It isn't a conversation which people talk about usually. It's quite hard and people have an expectation of you and they hear these sort of things and, you know, the feedback has been amazing. I've had some people that, to be honest, I thought didn't like me very much, have messaged and said, you know, this was funny and this was fab, like, carry on. So we don't plan to stop. But yeah, fine. It's over to me next week. I will get my thinking cap on, and I'm sure we'll think of something just as scandalous and taboo. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye and see you next week.
See you next
Bye.
week. Bye.